Welcome to Powerboat Talk, the podcast where we talk everything performance boats with your host, Joe Road.
Hello, welcome to Powerboat Talk. This episode is brought to you by SoCal Jet Boats. You can check out owner Brad Martin on episode 28 of Powerboat Talk to learn more about their company. SoCal Jet Boats is one of the original online forums, and it's still a great resource for all kinds of performance boat info. SoCal Jet Boats has an online store that has a fantastic selection of hot boat apparel and a full line of jet pump parts and accessories. SoCal Jet Boats is also a great supporter of drag boat racing, and you can find them at most ADBA and NJBA races. You can also find them on Instagram and Facebook or online at SoCalJetBoats.com. Hello, welcome to Powerboat Talk. Today I am with a real new crew, the guys from Freedom One Racing. They just made their debut, or their 388 skater at Lake of the Ozarks Shootout, and they're a bit of a surprise to everybody, and lucky enough to get them on the line today and figure out who these guys are and what's up behind this badass deal. So how's it going, guys? I have Noah Ola and Ryan Ola from Freedom One Racing.
Doing good. How are you?
Good. I see the boat back there in the background.
Yeah, we got it back, and we're tinkering around on it, getting everything dialed in. So
looking over stuff, refabricating it and everything, and getting stuff tightened up.
Gotcha. Now you gave me a really good description of who you guys were in the pre-show meeting. You want to tell me again your background and what this boat's all about?
Okay, yeah. So basically, this boat was purpose built for shootout style drag races. There was a boat that set the record at the Lake of the Ozarks Shootout a while back, and it was not an American-based team. So the owner of this boat decided that the shootout record should be held by an American racing team, and he's just dedicated to making that happen. So he talked to Skater and put together a group of friends that we've known each other our whole lives. We've drag raced in the car world. There's been a little bit of boat racing in the quarter mile drag boat stuff, but this is kind of just bringing a bunch of friends together that are willing to put in the time and the work to achieve a goal and basically bring the record back to the United States.
So you said it was mainly a group of drag racers, right? Bringing your drag boat knowledge and your drag boat technical expertise to a big shootout drag boat.
Pretty much, yeah.
Basically exactly what it is. So just like the engine and drivetrain setup, this isn't like a typical, drivetrain for a boat like this. These are basically just blown alcohol Pro Mod engines times 2. And, there's a lot of work involved, a lot of knowledge involved, but to be honest, that's kind of what we've done. And we're ready to put this, knowledge and expertise into that purpose-built shootout style drag racing.
I'd say actually put it to the test, to see what can happen and what can be done with something that's really never been done before. There's a lot of unknowns and a lot of naysayers out there, but, we're just doing this with 2 piston slappers, as the owner would say, and just shooting for what the maximum output of this boat can be. That's what we're doing.
I actually interviewed Slug Hefner the other night, who obviously he was the big gun this year. Well, for twin engine boats, he went 202, and obviously he's in your bullseye. But we both were in agreement that it was really cool what you guys are doing. Where it's unique. You're coming from a different perspective, different background, and he loved it. I loved it. It's like, hey, it's cool. Everybody's rooting for you, So everybody's up for the newness and something different. So it's really cool what you guys are doing.
Yeah, we were actually really blown away by not just the people that were excited, the interest, the support we've had from not just the spectators, but also the boat world itself. I know it's kind of a tight-knit group getting into power boats, but to be honest, everyone seemed to be pretty open and happy we were there. it seemed to bring a lot of attention back to the shootout, some interest and something, just a little bit of spark. Like you said, it's just something different. So I think everyone's kind of interested and excited to see, what the possibilities are, and just kind of bring something new to the shootout.
Mm-hmm. Well, the shootout itself, I think it's building momentum because, it's a lot of bigger boats, a lot of the offshore world, and the offshore world, for obvious reasons. I mean, it's gone more to spec type racing. They've tried to keep the cost down as much as you can do that. So the shootout's really, really cool. I mean, it's grassroots. It's obviously not grassroots, but I mean, it's grassroots style, kind of one run what you brung. So I think that's appealing to everybody.
That's what really is appealing to us, because in the car world and what we're used to, heads up racing that's the big time. Bracket racing's cool and stuff like that, but when you get into the heads up, eighth mile stuff, it's as fast as you can go, as quick as you can get there, and it really doesn't matter what it takes to do that. And we understand the powerboat world, obviously the spec engines and the spec classes. You have to get boats there. You have to keep the boat count, or you don't have a series. So there's a need, and there's obviously a requirement to do classes like that and keep that stuff alive. But the shootout style races is really what intrigued us, mainly just because we can build something that is just radical as can be, fairly short. It's not a big, long boat. It's pretty light. There's a lot of horsepower. It takes a ton of work to keep this thing going, but, we're dumb enough to put in the work and see what can happen. So
tell me about the owner. The owner's basically kind of incognito. He doesn't want to. He put this out there talk about how he put this out there as kind of a fundraising project.
Yeah. So when the idea of this boat came together, the first idea was to bring the title back to America, where it belongs. And the second thing that came along with it was a non-profit, type of deal. It was all the money that we raised would go straight to charity. We do not use any of the money that we get and we put it back on the boat. It all goes straight to a charity of our picking, and anyone can ask about that and anyone can see that where the money goes.
Yeah, so we're actually currently setting up our 501c3 right now. There was a big push to get the boat done, so we kind of hurried up, got to the shootout, and now we're kind of trying to fine-tune everything, get the race team set up, the 501c3, and really get our goals defined for the race team and the foundation side of it. So we're really shooting towards, instead of, the owner doesn't want big name sponsors or even his companies or him personally to get the glory from this deal. It was about bringing the title back to America, but it was also about being able to raise money for charities as, kind of philanthropy type thing for the owner and the people involved. We all kind of agree that that's the best way to utilize the boat. Instead of putting stickers on it with a big name sponsor and, making them more money and, just giving them a bigger platform, we thought it best to utilize this as a way to actually give back to, people that actually need it and charities that, would thrive, off the extra funds and stuff like that. So,
do you have any specific charities yet you've designated, or still up in the works?
I believe St. Jude's. Is one of the top ones.
Wounded Warriors is another one.
And Folds of Honor is what I'm being told.
Okay, nice. A lot of military stuff.
Yep. So that's kind of our beginning, and obviously as this thing grows, it's gonna expand to a lot of different areas, and even sponsorship ideas for companies to be able to give to the foundation, through the racing side, and just kind of give them some kind of notoriety without putting a big sticker on the boat.
Gotcha. So that's how the fundraising is going to happen.
Correct. Yeah, we're going to try to fundraise, through companies and give them some notoriety on like shootout events. We can get some shirts made and some banners and basically put out the companies that supported our charitable foundations, and stuff like that, and give them some of the notoriety on that side of it.
Gotcha. So it's the Skater to rudder boat. You said there's Pro Mod motors. What kind of are they like BAEs, or what kind of motors? Can you tell me a little bit about them?
Yeah, so we have two 4.9 Hemis, Noonan. They are built by Noonan. They're billet block. No water cooled, no coolant, no nothing. It's dry block, PSI screw and blower on top, run on methanol.
So basically a 522 cubic inch blown alcohol Pro Mod engine. I mean, there is no difference. They've got a 3-speed transmission, like a 400 style transmission behind them.
Oh.
So that's kind of something a little different. We're not using crash boxes or the typical, boat style transmissions. Like I said, we're drag racers, so we're kind of bringing some of that technology to the boat world, and we think it's going to be, a game changer ourselves because we know they can handle the power. We had some issues in our first test pass. We hurt some transmissions, but it was completely our fault. It was not the way they were built. It was not the company that built them. They build excellent products, and it was literally just a learning curve on, what we need to do and how we need to do it. So, but yeah, it's basically a blown alcohol Pro Mod, 400 transmission, surface drives, and lots of power and not a lot of weight.
What kind of horsepower, I guess?
It's about 1 horsepower per pound of the boat. So about 1 to 1.
We're getting close on 1 horsepower per pound. We're on a conservative tune-up to try to get the engines to live like we want. We're thinking probably roughly in the ballpark of 4,000 horsepower each. So 8,000 horsepower.
Oh, nice. And the decision to run the dry blocks, was that I mean, why'd you do that? Is it just because that's what you knew and
need that 4 extra miles per hour?
So basically the extra strength in the blocks, once you go to water jacketed, you lose the strength around the cylinders and stuff like that. We want to be able to lean on them as much as we have to. So we're not too worried about the dry blocks because like that pass, it was 45 seconds under throttle. We got them back to the shop. Everything looked great. The tune-up is basically the most important thing. We've got awesome guys tuning this thing. We're confident that we can make them live. So we just wanted the extra strength. That way, if we do get to a situation where we need 5 more mile an hour, we're going to turn these things up, whether we blow them up or not. I mean, we're going to get to where we need to be no matter what. So we just wanted to make sure that we had as much in our corner as far as, strength for extra boost, RPM, stuff like that.
But it definitely sounds like 45 seconds. Like you got plenty of dime in them before, they've got enough life in them to do that.
That 45 seconds was not planned at all. These motors, we plan on running these motors for a good 20 seconds tops, tow it out there, run it, shut it off. But, our drivers, they pretty much said, screw that and ran them. And that pretty much surprised us all with that long of a run. We needed the data too. Yeah,
we were trying to get data. So, and we discussed going into that. If the boat felt good, they were going to stay in it. So we knew we had limited runs and limited time to make runs to get the data we needed to come back over the winter and really put together a program that can go out and succeed next year. So they did exactly what they needed to do. They made a safe pass. It was A to B. We didn't hurt any parts, and we got all the data we need to come back out and really kill it next year.
Yeah. Didn't you officially get disqualified because they ran too far after the finished buoy?
Yeah. Yes, correct.
Yeah, okay.
We disqualified on our first run, our only run technically, but it was more about kind of our personal goals that we wanted to meet.
I get it. Yeah.
And doing it in a safe manner. So.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And I don't know. I mean, how much test time have you had on the boat besides the shootout? Or was that it?
2 weeks prior to us even putting it on the water, there was no motors, no transmission. There was nothing in the boat. There wasn't even 2 seats in it. So we actually pulled the boat from Michigan to the Ozarks 10 hours before we put it on the water.
We got the boat done. We left Skater in Michigan Thursday at I think 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We got to the Ozarks about midnight. We put the boat in the water Friday. The first time the boat had ever been in the water was Friday. We made one little test hit kind of by our lake property. That's when we actually hurt the transmissions. And then went to the shootout Saturday. So when we showed up at the shootout Saturday, It had been in the water and made one little test pass. That was it.
See, it's not hard to become boat guys. You're already boat guys.
Oh. We're hoping it gets a little easier, but I think that was mainly just us, just coming down to the wire. We were not going to let the boat kick our ass. We were going to get to that race no matter what. So
yeah. Well, and you have to have that deadline, right? For the most part, you have to have that deadline, or you just never get them done.
It's easy to keep kicking the can down the road until you have a date, then the nights get later and later and later.
1 o'clock turns into 2, 2 turns into 3.
Yeah.
Towards the end, we weren't getting much sleep, but like I said, we were dedicated. We have passion. We have a great team. I mean, the group of guys working on this boat, like I said, we've been around each other since I was young. Noah probably wasn't even born yet whenever most of this group of guys started racing together. So it's really cool to not really have a professional team. We're not getting paychecks. We're doing this because we want to do it and we have fun doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So
how big is the team?
It's
one big family, pretty much. It's all of our families, and then some, then some.
It's basically a lot of our family, and then the people that we've just kind of acquired over the years as family friends that you meet over the years that you know that they're a special kind of person. So we like to keep those people tight, and it's literally just grown into just literally family and tight-knit friends that have just come together, and their families too, so it's literally just a conglomeration of about 5 or 6 families that come together just to make it all happen.
Fun. So tell me about the first, there's probably many, but like, what's the one you remember, that first draw it on a napkin? Let's talk about doing this project. How'd that go? And what was everybody really thinking?
Well, that was the phone call. That you probably need to tell that story.
It was.
I can say what I know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Ryan's going to come in and tell that story.
Ryan.
Come on in,
Ryan Greco.
Yeah. From what I know, there's still a lot more to kind of land on all those fine details, and that's going to be coming out soon. So people need to follow along with the media. But essentially, a phone call was made from a friend to a friend that said, "Hey, you're the guy I know that's capable of pulling this off. There's a record that needs to be beat. We need to bring it back to the U.S." And that's literally where it started. And it kind of evolved from there. It may have seemed like a joke at first, but it was what do you call that? Kind of poking around, figuring out what was what. And sure enough, the friend that texted the friend, he knew he's crazy enough to do it. Earlier, Ryan said dumb enough. I think these guys are crazy enough. That's how I define it. And so that's why they're doing all this good stuff.
Yeah, so that's basically the story I got. Is basically it literally snowballed from
a couple cocktails.
Yeah,
a couple cocktails in one night.
And a phone call, and just kind of bullshitting and joking around, and it literally snowballed into, hey, let's make it happen.
Which, further elaboration, the guy that made that original phone call, he is going to be he's the guy that's in charge of the 501c3. So he's back to him, the team, like it's everybody who this has been an idea of and like been a part of for over actually 2 years. But as time's kind of gone on, certain people got brought into the equation under a trustworthy aspect that if you knew, you knew for a reason type of thing. And so it just kept going and going. And then the goal was for it to debut at the Lake of the Ozarks so that this whole team could get going. We're from Missouri. That's where we're at, and so if we didn't hit that deadline that these guys hit, we're waiting a whole nother year till this is even.
Yeah.
And so that's part of why they pressed so hard for so long. Back to his point on the testing, all that, they wanted to see how it handled. The boat did go over 202 miles an hour. And if you equated where they started from a dry start with their 40 and you wanted to get all that back to the data he has, they got some info that is going to go a long way.
Mm-hmm.
Basically on a whim from a phone call. Yeah. The right guy called the right guy.
So from day one, it was the Pro Mod motors. We're going with drag race mentality, and that's what we're doing.
I don't think there was any plan at all from day one. I think the phone call started, and then it was like he said. This has been over a 2-year process, and it was a 2-year process that we wanted to keep quiet from everybody. We didn't want the boat world to know, and give people time to kind of get their ducks in a row. And and try to be ready. We really wanted to come out and kind of be the new team that nobody really knew much about, and just see what we could do. So that was the biggest thing, is keeping it quiet and then building, the group that basically would help us put the boat together. So, coming across Skater and, making that decision that, hey, we want, a Skater boat. And then now, what are we going to do for power? Is it going to be something that, the Skater guys recommend, or do we want to use the drag racing, world to kind of lean on? And that's where it just literally just bouncing off, some company, people that we knew at certain companies, engines and transmissions and stuff like that, and literally just kind of getting the overall, hey, I think this is what it's going to be. It's going to be a Skater boat. It's going to have screw-blown Noonans. It's going to have, 3-speed transmissions. And it literally just kind of got put together over a few months of, just discussing with the right people and the right companies to just make sure that it would all work.
Has Noonan been confident through this whole thing? Like, did he think you guys are crazy, or it's like, oh, I can do this?
It took a while to get in contact with him, really. So I think at first, when we wanted 4 motors from him, they probably thought we were joking with them and probably a little crazy at the same time. But, the motors that we use right now, Noonan tested them themselves. We knew what we were getting into, and we know what we wanted. So, yeah, once we got in contact with Noonan, it was kind of push, we need that. So that's what it came down to.
Yeah, and they actually, once it was a real deal and everyone knew it was happening, they really got on board and they got behind it. It's hard to say, hey, we've got a real short time frame, but we need 4 of your top engines quick, and we need them identical. So, they really stepped up to the plate and delivered, on everything that they said they were going to do. They build top-notch products. They stand behind their products. They got great people, very knowledgeable, and they've been awesome. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nice. So you said the transmissions were a little bit of a challenge. What was some of the other things you've had a challenge with, hardware-wise or adaptability-wise?
It was really just the short amount of time that we had, getting everything to communicate together. The transmissions we have are great. To be able to run a transmission up to 9,000 RPMs in first gear and it still hold together, I mean, it's crazy. But yeah, just that short time frame that we had to get the computer that we ran to correspond with the motor to the transmission, it's just something, that it was really a backbreaker. We were sitting at the dock at the shootout trying to figure out how to shift these transmissions, and eventually we were like, just stick them in second and leave them there. So that's what we ended up going with. But now that we have it out of the water and we have this time in the winter, by the time we get it back on the water, it's going to be dialed in.
Yeah, we just fought little issues, really. I mean, anytime you build something new, especially, that short of a time frame towards the tail end of the project, you're going to have some gremlins and some bugs to work out. Drag boats. I mean, there's always something that's unforeseen. And to be honest, I think we had fairly small amount of little issues to work out. So, brand new computer system. We're running MoTeC ECUs.
MoTeC, okay.
Yeah, they're the big dogs, and just learning kind of how the MoTeC stuff works, and getting like he said, getting the transmissions and the fuel injection, and all that stuff to work together in such a short amount of time is just got to be slightly overwhelming. So, like he said, we struggled mainly with the GPS and the MoTeC stuff. We struggled with getting it to work, so we wanted to shift. Speed-based. We don't want to do RPM-based just so they shift at the same time. So we were struggling with the GPS stuff. We did get the GPS to work, and then we were still kind of struggling with the transmission modules that electronically, shift the transmissions into gear. Transmissions, actually, the reason those broke the first day we did our test pass is they never shifted. So like I said, the GPS wasn't working, so they never never saw any mile an hour. Never tried to shift, and that was the first time on the water. So the drivers were just getting comfortable, just talking to each other, so they just went out and rolled into it, made a pass. They didn't really think nothing of it. We were going to pull some data, see what happened. It went 9,200 RPM in first gear at 140 mile an hour. those transmissions are not designed to get abused like that in first gear. So it was us. I think one started to let go. It made a little bit of a move. They got out of the throttles probably a little too quick. Might have caused some more damage in the planetaries that we didn't catch, but it's just one of those learning curve things. So to be honest, we really didn't have many issues. I think the props were pretty close to spot on, which is really hard to do. I mean, and something this new and crazy.
Yeah, no data on that, right?
Yeah, they got really close on the props. The gearing in the transmissions was actually pretty spot on too. We're picking first, second, third is 1-to-1, but we're picking that first, second gear ratio. So I think that's actually pretty close to where we need it to be. And then for the most part, we really didn't have any issues. So luckily, when we were at the shootout, there was a MoTeC guy there, and he was more than willing to help. When it was pouring down rain Saturday, everyone's flocking to find cover. The MoTeC guy and our tuner were inside the cockpit of this boat with a tarp over the top of it so rain wouldn't get in, figuring out the GPS, getting stuff to shift, and showing us how to calibrate the shift modules.
Oh, nice.
First gear's first, second, third. Just all that, the fine nuances to make everything work together. So if we'd have had another day, we probably would have impressed a lot of people.
Yeah. Nice. You want to drop the MoTeC guy's name just to give him props?
I wish I could remember his name. I don't have his card.
There was actually two of them there.
That's amazing.
And thank God they were there because they pretty much saved us.
Yes.
They really did.
They were right alongside. Yeah. They were right alongside these guys all weekend in there.
They
were even back Sunday.
They had no problems jumping in, showing us everything we needed to know. It was
That's
cool.
awesome. That's awesome. And what was your official number was like 170 something, right?
Yeah, 170 miles an hour was the official track number before getting
from standstill.
From standstill.
Yeah, from a dig.
Not on plan.
Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, whatever, right? You're 40 miles an hour off or whatever, but it what you guys did, it's amazing. Like, I mean, that's no joke. 170 miles an hour. I mean, like you said, the thing looked good. It wasn't walking. It wasn't, out of hand. And so for a pass like that, from where you were, it's still to the tune at the dock. I mean, that's very impressive. And everybody knows to get to just to get there, like you guys knew your shit. Like that's no joke, so that's pretty good. You guys should be proud of yourselves for that.
Yeah, we're definitely, as a team, we're proud. Like I said, and we were talking about making more passes, but that pass kind of put us where we needed to be on mile an hour wise, kind of our goal wise. We didn't hurt anything. Everyone was safe. There was some stuff the drivers actually wanted to change to make it a little better. Power steering is one of the biggest changes that they're going to add. So it was basically just a call of, hey, we did what we want to do. Let's make it a little more safe and a little more drivable. And we'll come back and kill it next year. But for the first actual shootout pass to go 170 from a dig, basically, and that wasn't planned either. I mean, we were stuck in second gear. We knew it might not shift, so we decided let's just put it in second gear. We'll make a second gear pass, A to B. We'll get some data, and the whole deal is rolling into the start box in second gear and trying to keep it under 40 mile an hour. It just these alcohol engines do not like to idle low. I mean, 2,500 RPM, you're lucky if you can get them to idle, good at that in gear with a load. So one loaded up, it killed it. So they literally had to put them in neutral, fire the other one back up.
Oh, geez.
They were already in the start box at that point. So there was no backing out. So they just made a pass. And 170 from a dig and then 202 shortly after that on the GPS. So, I mean, you put 40 mile an hour off the start box onto 202 or even 170. I mean, that's 210 or 230 or 240. I mean, we learned everything we wanted to learn.
Yeah. And driver throttle guy who, by the way, we'll talk about the celebrities you had doing that, but they were happy. It felt good from their perspective.
They were very happy afterwards. There was a couple words exchanged about wanting to slow it down earlier, but no, they were happy. The driver definitely wanted to change the steering and get that under control. Safety is definitely a big thing. But yeah, overall, they loved it. I think they got some excitement back in their lives that they haven't had in a while. So that's another good thing.
Yeah. And them two earned it. I mean, the resources that those two guys put together in order to even be there at that event and then get to, hit for them. I think that like the goal kind of ended up being they wanted to go at least 200 mile an hour that weekend, and they got to do that. Your goals change as things progress, right? So
sure.
Transmissions are broke on first pass, things along those lines. But to get to see those guys get to hit that's why the driver called the shot of no more passes. You saw everything you needed to. Back to Noah's point, they felt satisfied, for what they're going to be able to do next. They got the team around them to do it. So,
and one of those guys is the owner, I presume.
They won't let us talk about it.
The owner, that's who it is. The owner is actually Freedom One Racing. So, that probably doesn't be edited. So.
Gotcha. And I know the driver and throttleman were entered as John Wayne and Clint Eastwood. So that was, that was a little, people figured that out fast.
Yeah, they're gonna stay incognito. That's our plan. We're like I said, it's not really about the boat or the owner or it's about the team and the goals and the foundation. Raising money.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm sure all of us on the media side will nod and say okay, but we'll keep trying.
Yeah. Just to be clear, the owner of the boat is Freedom One Racing.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right. So where do you go from here? What's the next chance you're going to get to test? You're going to run it in any other events, or what's the plans?
So tentatively, we are looking at doing a lot next year. We are planning on going to Lake Havasu, and doing that deal down there. What's the name of that?
Awesome. Desert Storm.
Yeah,
Desert Storm.
We're planning on starting with Desert Storm and just see how it goes. If Desert Storm goes smooth, we'll end up maybe hitting Texas and Maryland and maybe try to do all the shootouts next year. So the goal basically for the winter is get everything back to the shop, tear everything down, inspect everything. We're going to freshen everything up. Like I said, they're going to put power steering on the boat. We want to check everything, MoTeC-wise, transmission-wise, shifting. We will have everything dialed in, all the bugs worked out before it even leaves the shop. So planning on trying to test early next year. That way when we do go to Desert Storm, we'll have the bugs worked out and we'll hopefully, be able to show the potential of what the boat's actually capable of.
I think you showed the potential. I think it's like you said. It's just, you kind of, if the boat would have been, running to where you could have run it the next day, and if it just from a driving perspective, you guys would have picked up just learning that 40 mile an hour out of the blocks with a boat that size and that much horsepower. That right there is just a trick,
Yeah, and it's communication with the two drivers and getting comfortable with each other and feeling the boat out. That's the first couple of times you actually felt the boat. There's so much potential. It's exciting to go into the winter, on that high. So it was a great way to kick everything off and kind of set us up for next year.
Yeah, that's cool. You're doing. I don't know. A lot of these guys, they just do lotto every year. Man, I don't think I could do that. Just wait all year and take one crack at it, So, and you go into these other shootouts that's kind of the best way to get test time. You don't really get that with, you got the safety crews there and all that. So I'm surprised more guys don't do more of them. So I think that's a good idea.
Well, that was kind of the whole purpose behind building a purpose-built boat is we're not going to be the offshore guys and we're not going to do stuff like that, but we're more than willing to go do the shootouts and hopefully, make all the shootouts across the country, bring some more publicity and, some more excitement to all of them. We think it's a great platform, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. So what are your backgrounds, you guys personally? Where'd you start, Noah? How'd you get into this stuff?
Well, I've been, hanging around these guys my whole life. I don't really have a choice. So, I've been around motors ever since I can remember, just being in the garage, turning wrenches, half the time not knowing what I'm doing, but just being around it and being in the culture is a blessing to me. A lot of people don't get that. And for me to, kind of strive to be the best at that at my age, I'm a young guy. And a lot of people are like, how do you know so much at a young age? Well, I was in the garage at such a young age doing stuff that a lot of people don't do, spending those late nights working with my dad and grandpa, just learning, it's all it is. I have a lot of knowledge for my age, but I have a lot to go too.
So your dad and grandpa, are they drag racers or?
No, my dad.
Our family has been around racing for forever. So we're cousins.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So you were hanging out in the same garage as him, right, Ryan?
Exactly.
Showing up
Gotcha.
the road.
He was the yeah.
So yeah, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm almost 40. I'll be 40 this year. When I was
Jesus, old guy.
I look young still, so I won't complain. But when I was young, I was probably 13 or 14 when I started building custom motorcycles. So I kind of got into that side of the fabrication and that stuff. And like I said, my family has been around racing. A lot of the people involved in this, I grew up, traveling around with my dad and people like that were racing. And same deal. I asked the questions. I was intrigued. I wanted to learn. I had the passion, the desire. I wanted to be the best fabricator, and I wanted to be able to race my own stuff. So there was no choice for me, as I got to learn how to be a really good welder, and I got to pay attention enough to at least be able to build my own cars and tune my own cars, because I couldn't really afford the nicest stuff back in the day. But it was mainly just a passion thing for me. I knew at a young age I wanted to be involved in motorsports and stuff like that. And kind of the decisions I've made with, work and even my own business and stuff like that, I've always kind of tailored it to being around the motorsports industry. So at a young age, I started, like I said, building custom motorcycles, painting custom motorcycles, and then it turned into more of a decorative metal, like doing stainless steel and aluminum stuff and TIG welding. And I just wanted to be the best TIG welder. I wanted to be the best, fabricator, so I could build my own cars. So luckily I have some people in the industry, a really good friend, Larry Larson with Larson Race Cars. My shop in Oak Grove used to be right next door to his shop in the same building. So I always used to go ask him questions or, go help him out, weld some stuff whenever I had spare time, just to learn more about, the business and the craft. And I always just wanted to know more. So then I started building stainless, headers and intercoolers and helping out I know a lot of guys in the pulling truck world. So I built a lot of turbo kits for the pulling truck guys and, the car guys around here. And I've just worked on my own race cars. I had a small tire drag car, heads up, like 8th mile deal for quite a few years that was pretty successful. We did some the drag and drive stuff, like the Hot Rod Drag Week. We did some of that stuff. So you just learn a lot about everything you need to know, over the years of just trying to stay involved and trying to keep up with the technology. It's now everything is computers and fuel injection, and a carburetor is kind of the thing of the past. So you really have to stay in the business and, ask the questions and be involved to stay on top of your game, or 2 years of being out of this, you're going to be left in the dust.
Yeah. And how about you, Ryan?
I just, my background as far as involvement with these guys, I've known for a handful of years, and we all live around each other here in the city. And then we actually happen to have lake houses down at the Ozarks right around each other too.
Oh, cool.
So I just try to do what I can to contribute to see the process move along on kind of a lot of the back end stuff, some of the event coordination, helping out with the media guys, talking with them, kind of getting a feel of what's going on, a little bit of a spokesman role, here, there, everywhere type of deal. And I've always had a passion for racing, and kind of back to what Noah was saying, getting to be in an environment such as this one, or racing at any level, is a privilege, so when you can kind of be in the mix of that thing, for me, it's a no-brainer, let alone going further with the contribution aspect, the philanthropy stuff. It's just going to be a huge deal, Yeah, I feel like maybe that's how I got invited into that circle of trust of, hey, this is kind of what's going on here. just because I've delivered when asked upon type of deal. So that's the end of it, and I'm still here for it. We'll see what's next. It's all developing so fast. So at this point,
well, that's probably going to open up a lot of cool opportunities for you to get in that world and leverage it and try to cut deals and get guys on board. So that's good for you. That's cool.
Yep.
Do you do the social media? I know you're on a lot of the social media.
I'm not fully responsible for it. I've just helped out with, like I said, kind of that's one of the dots that I helped connect because I knew there was going to be a major need here for that with what I could see, because I've seen a lot of the media aspect of other companies and production stuff. So when I was in the mix of it, I just kind of put the right people together to help that out and fell on the sword, they're out the get-go just to kind of help everybody see what it could be. And, it's right now the vibe is high.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, your social media is really good. Definitely caught my eye. So good job there. So, all right. Well, cool. Is anything you think I didn't ask or anything else you want to share?
Anybody? Man, you hit on a lot of stuff. To be honest, this has been pretty good.
Cool. Real cool.
I've done a lot of interviews and podcasts and stuff like that. You're pretty much spot on for the industry. I'll give you that.
Cool. Well, I'm an old boat guy. I love the tech stuff. I love, I never owned anything bigger than a 21 footer. And so these things, I can't even imagine what it takes. Like what you guys did. I was a mechanic for 15. My dad had a boat shop for 40 years. So it's like, I know when you guys are talking, like, dude, that's a project, man. So I get it. That's why I appreciate it. And that's why I like to tell the world about that kind of stuff too,
And we appreciate it. And that's why we're talking about the interest and, everybody that's just been so overwhelmingly excited to just see the whole project. And I think just the whole aspect of everything down to the drivers kind of being hidden and, the foundation and the philanthropy aspect and, the boat setting records and bringing just every aspect you look at it, you can't help just to get excited. I mean, it's just a cool project and it's something awesome to be a part of. And one thing I did want to hit on is we are working on merch. We're working on website.
Oh, cool.
Everybody is blowing us up. Where can I buy merch? Where can I get merch? Like I said, everything was, a rush at the very end. So now that we're back, everything's kind of back to normal. We are working on getting our merch set up, getting the website. We're thinking in 2 weeks, roughly from now, we should have a website and hopefully be able to buy merch online. So definitely wanted to let everybody know that, yes, we are not avoiding that. We are trying to get that as quick as possible, but it takes a minute to kind of get all the back end. We're going to try to set it up for if it does blow up, we'll kind of halfway be ready. So.
Okay. Well, cool. Yeah, well, definitely let me know and find you guys. Is it Freedom One Racing on Instagram?
That's correct.
And website? Do we know the website?
And Facebook. The website will be freedomoneracing.com as well.
Okay, perfect. And I'll tag all those in the show notes. They'll link to you guys' stuff. So hopefully this will be a few weeks before this comes out. You guys will be able to be up and running by then.
Absolutely, yeah. And eventually we're going to have the short film coming out showing everything that led up to the shootout and through the shootout where we are today. Then that'll kind of lead into explaining what our next move is going to be from there as well.
Yeah, so the media team was, really big presence leading up to it and at the shootout. So they put together an awesome, as they're finishing, an awesome short film. So we will definitely be letting everyone know when that comes out. And then probably the only other thing I'd want to hit on is just all the people that really helped us get to where we're here. Like I said, all the guys like at Skater Powerboats, those guys literally bent over backwards. Yeah. They didn't have to do it, and there was a couple guys that even stayed late with us. They got there early. They put in the work. They put in the blood, sweat, and tears. And I think they need, to be mentioned at least. So definitely thank you to Pete and Tony at Skater, and then the guys in the shop that really kind of helped. Mike, Ross, and Robert were just, we destroyed their toolbox, their workstation, everything that they love, and they did not complain. They literally were there to help us every step of the way. Back to the guys at Noonan, PSI blowers, Bore the hats, Cohen transmissions, MoTeC ECU, And I'm sure I'm probably missing a bunch of other stuff, but those are the big ones that come to mind. And I literally just wanted to at least, put them out there.
No, absolutely.
And let everyone know that
absolutely.
we appreciate everything, all the tech support, all, the phone calls, yes, Mashmeyer Performance Engineering, Brian Robbins with Robbins Racecraft. Yeah, like I said, I'm probably going to forget some, but I wanted to at least put it out there. The guys at Skater really, they killed it. They're going to be lifelong friends and family after this deal. I guarantee it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. It's great to hear. Great to hear. So
one slogan that they had through that weekend, I think it was no quit, no quitters, no quit. And that's what'll keep on happening.
Yep.
So,
we're not stopping. Quitter.
Awesome. Well, we'll keep our eyes on you, and good luck, man. And we're counting on you not quitting, because it's a cool deal. We want to see the full potential, and we want to see what the other guys get to do to try to keep up with you. Everybody will step their game up. So
exactly, we want the competition. We don't want to be the only one out there winning this for the next 20 years. We want competition next year. We're more than capable and confident what we can do. We want some close racing.
Awesome. Well, again, thanks again, guys. I appreciate you taking the time. We got 3 of you. That's pretty good. Glad Ryan, saw the light, got in front of the camera. See, it wasn't so bad, dude.
Yeah. We're feeling all this out, man.
Yeah, we're all learning. We're all learning.
Yeah, you guys are awesome.
Said that, and I'm going to be the first to bow out. But yeah, I enjoyed talking with you as well.
Yeah, that was awesome. I appreciate it. Good job, guys. And we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you for listening to Powerboat Talk. If you like what you've heard, please head over to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review. For more Powerboat Talk, follow us on Facebook or Instagram, or visit our website at powerboattalk.com.